So one thing that I want to point out is this bit here. So basically, an optional argument for pbi-tools extract is model serialization. And that one has 4 different options you can choose from: default, raw, legacy, and TMDL. And basically, those 2, legacy and TMDL, those are new. Previously, we only had default and raw. Legacy is basically what pbi-tools used to do before TMDL came along, which, just like what tabular editors used to do, sort of was a proprietary format that only existed for pbi-tools users, right? So that's still there, and it's called legacy. You can explicitly specify TMDL. TMDL happens to be the default format. So if you don't specify anything out of the box, you get TMDL today. And that's quite important to understand, because you may not want that, right? You may have existing projects, and you don't suddenly want the outputs from those projects to change unexpectedly, without you actually managing the transition to TMDL. Or you may want to wait till a later preview, because, as I mentioned, there are still bug fixes happening right now. So you may want to wait till, let's say, the 2nd or the 3rd preview of TMDL, right? So in that case, you would want to lock things back to legacy. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit in terms of explaining. If I use the pbi-tools convert command as a proxy here, because I don't have a pbix file right now, but convert basically does exactly the same thing. Let me take this contoso file and let me do pbi-tools convert, and then contoso.bim, and let's extract that into a new folder called TMDL, right? So I'm not specifying anything at all. I'm not specifying model serialization, but what I'm getting, as you can see, is TMDL, right? So this whole folder structure was generated by me reading the BIM file, converting it, and serializing it into TMDL. If I instead set dash model serialization legacy, if I did that, I would get a new legacy folder, and as you can see, that one has a database.json file, and it actually uses the proprietary pbi-tools format, right? However, there's another way to get there, and that might be quite useful for people who've already invested into pbi-tools. You can set an environment variable, and that one is called pbi-tools underscore default. There we go. So you can set an environment variable default model serialization, and then specify any of the 4 values I explained earlier. So for instance, if you set default model serialization equals legacy, then that one will be effective whenever you don't specify anything else, right? So if I now go and extract this into legacy 2 without saying anything else, I'm still getting the legacy format because, sorry, because I set sort of my global default, and that's actually what I would recommend, right? If you want to stay on legacy for the time being and then sort of switch over to TMDL at some point. So that's that. And yeah, I mean, just a little recap, right? So this convert command is actually pretty powerful, because you can go sort of in any direction, as you can see, right? You can go from a BIM file into a folder. you can go from a folder into a BIM file, right? So I can actually take my legacy 2 folder. If I specified it as my first argument, and then if basically say contoso2.bim, I don't have to say anything else, because it infers by me specifying the .bim extension that that's what I want, right? So this is that was my original BIM file, and this is the one which was just generated, right? So you can go back and forth. The formats are completely lossless, right? Everything that's represented in the TMDL folder is completely equivalent to anything that's represented in a BIM file or represented in a tabular editor folder structure.